What's up, guys? Today I want to break down how we can produce results for the brands that we're working with, like this. For Sebastian, we had a 30K day. For this guy, we had a 7.5 grand day. For Adam, we had a $18,000 PLN day. This is like 4 or 5,000 US dollars, but obviously just at a super early time. So we also finished up at like 7K day. So unbelievable results. And I want to break down what one thing which I think is kind of the biggest differentiator between people that do actually make a lot of money with ecom versus people that kind of struggle, and it's the efficiency or the ability to separate high leverage and a lot important, very important, from not important at all, and like basically super low leverage. Now, when someone starts out, it's very easy to get lost in the details, and what they do and what tends to happen usually is they kind of do their usual stuff and they approach, for example, research with the same time input and the same seriousness as the color of their add to cart button. Like these little things that they feel like, okay, everything is at the same importance because they don't have this feeling for it yet. And so if this is you, right, watching this video, or even if you're already more experienced but you just want to scale up, I feel like this is going to be super helpful. I have basically structured the testing order here for you guys in front of you. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to actually give you live examples of how this is looking like. And so at the very top, obviously, you're going to want to pick a problem slash symptom, right? And so in this case, it was stress and anxiety, right? So like I'm going to walk you through an actual practical example of how this could look like. Now, when you start doing research, obviously the most highest leverage thing that can happen, that you can have, is the product itself. Okay, so this is the thing this is the reason why switching products and pump and dumping stuff works, because the product itself, yes, it is on the highest level of the testing order. Now, the problem with spamming a bunch of different products onto a bunch of different stores is that every single time that you do switch products, it's too much of a change. You lose all the information about that product, about the customer that you sell to, about everything, okay? You completely essentially start a new business every single time that you do this, and it's not a good way to go about business overall, because it's the shiny object syndrome. However, yes, the product is the highest like testing order thing. It will have a bigger impact on all the metrics, including CPM, including conversion rate, everything, than everything we're gonna talk about after here. Unfortunately, this is what it is. Obviously, switching products works. It's nothing that you should do, but it actually absolutely works. And so this is, for example, when you're talking, okay, problem or symptom is stress, anxiety, we can have this, call me ring, which I'm actually going to break down further. We can have a supplement product. We can have this here. We can have, whatever, like we can have a bunch of different products when you actually look for, let's say as library, you look for the keyword stress and like free shipping or something, and then you come across these brands. Now, the thing that actually does separate good brands from terrible brands is good brands have multiple avatars, or at least a long customer journey for one avatar, but they've sure as hell tested multiple avatars in the past of their brand history, okay? So this is what is super powerful about this, because what is going to happen when you do this, obviously, it's like this will have the second biggest impact on metrics like the CPM, on metrics like the conversion rate, the CTR, everything, okay? So what's going to happen is when you have multiple avatars, multiple people that your brand speaks to with your ads, with your marketing, what's going to happen is you figure out which one's the best one, the most profitable one, and you can absolutely optimize everything towards that one avatar. Now, it's important to understand that the avatar, if you test two personas against each other, it's going to have a lot higher of an impact than if you test benefits or concepts against each other. This is what's called still a high impact, high leverage test, which is the avatar. And this is where you should be positioned at when you think about, okay, how do I figure my product out? Let's say you don't have your product market fit yet. Let's say you're at the earlier stages, you don't make a lot of money yet. With ecom, maybe you don't have any sales at all yet. What you are lacking right now is you don't have the right avatar that you're speaking to. You're speaking to the wrong person. The people that you show it to just don't resonate with your stuff. And so what this brand here, Call Me, actually did is they basically had different landing pages. This is why it's super easy to show. Basically said, call me ring, the natural weight loss ally. And then here it said, call me ring, the natural menopause solution. Okay, so they sold it here towards people struggling with their menopause symptoms, here towards people that just wanted to lose weight. It's different avatars, different personas. Then we have the angle. Okay, so the angle is actually different from the avatar, because the marketing angle is basically which desire do you speak to. So you speak to the same person, but you tell them different things. Okay, this is what the angle this is what makes the angle different from the avatar. And it's lower impact, lower leverage than testing a different persona. Super important to understand. And so as an example, what I've broken down here is, let's say this is like a bloated type of thing. So bloating in terms of weight loss, right? So keep in mind we went from the weight loss one. So we have bloating, we have the 14-day challenge, we have, say goodbye to the Menno belly, and then here we have 1 ring, 5 health benefits. Okay, so what's super interesting here is both of them, all these 4 ads talk to different styles, like different, say different things essentially, right? But for the same person. And this is the interesting part. This is what the marketing angle separates from the avatar. Now below each angle can have multiple concepts. And so now we're not only saying the same thing to the same person, but we're saying it to him in a different way. Okay, so keep in mind, angle, we said a different thing to the same person. Okay, now we're basically saying the same thing to the same person, but in a different way. We showcase what we're saying in a different way. And so, for example, as you can see here, this is like a video ad. This right here is like, just a classic image ad with all the benefits around it. This one's more like a UGC thing. Essentially all the same angle, same avatar, same everything. Okay, and then within each concept, and have a bunch of benefits. And so now it's like, okay, helps weight loss, improves sleep quality, improves blood flow, reduces stress, anxiety, relieves pain, etc., etc. So what's super important to understand is the more down you go here, the more it's an iteration and the less it actually changes in the performance. And so when people run a hook test or overall a creative test, what tends to happen is they don't have crazy results, crazy differences in the results. But what you should look for is differences. You want to, like when you test something against each other, let's say you test 20 creatives in a test, you don't want to have the same metric 20 times because they might as well test only one ad. But this is what the reality looks like for most people that test ads, is they say the same thing 20 different times. It's like they operate here on these levels, basically just test concepts against each other, maybe even worse, benefits, or even below this, just hooks against each other, bodies, call to actions, but it's the same thing 20 times. And so obviously you're going to get very similar metrics 20 times. But if overall the whole high leverage thing isn't validated and you're just guessing these high leverage things, right, and you're actually doing the testing in here, then nothing's going to work if you get unlucky. And you're going to get unlucky because the odds are against you. Reason being, the higher leverage you go, right, what happens is the higher leverage you go, usually the lower the hit rates become. And so the lower the hit rates become, the smaller the odds that actually guessing works, right? It's like rather guess these things down here and actually test these things up here against each other. Maybe a hero product versus another hero product. Obviously, ideally, different avatars, angles. These things will leave you with a lot more information and also a lot bigger return on your time and money invested on ads when it comes to this. And this is what I wanted to break down because I think it's super important to be able to separate these things from each other. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. So I want to say thank you so much for giving me your most important asset, which is your attention. Thanks for watching. I wish you a beautiful day.